Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tiffany Avayé Takes. Okay, today's story. Kids who get smartphones earlier become adults with worse mental health. Here's my take. I feel like the level of this being accurate is probably high because I feel like mental health, even in adults, struggle due to like smartphones because mental health, when I think about it, is just the state, the healthiness of your mind. And I feel like smartphones take away our ability to process things. Or not our ability, but just like the strength of processing, retaining information, attention span, everything's fast paced. So kids naturally have less than adults. So if they are in the state where they're trying to build up their mind and processing and comprehension, and they have this device that's making everything, just readily available for them, then naturally less work is gonna it's gonna have a greater impact on them. Um Like smartphones are just making things they're making things convenient, but it's at the detriment of humans, especially brain wise, like critical thinking wise. One of the things that I've noticed recently, you know how you have the one time password and it gives you like a 6 digit code or maybe 4 digit, it gives you a code. And now the phone populates that code where you don't even have to use your brain to remember what the code is. And as time goes on, because when I realized that was happening, I was like, wow, I don't even have to think about what the code is no more. And now, like when I try to just remember what the code is off memory, it's almost a struggle. And I turned that feature off because I don't want my mind to get so like I can't remember things, and that's how it starts. Like you think it's just something a small thing, but like that's how it starts. And kids who are developing, are getting the short end of the stick when it comes to that. So that's just my take with this. Is what the article says. Children who acquire smartphones at a younger age have been found to face greater mental health challenges in childhood. I want to pause right there because I don't know technically when a smartphone was invented, and I'm gonna Google it right now. Um, but has it been that long where a child has had access to a smartphone and grown up that many to do this? Oh, well, never mind. It's in the article. Okay, studies indicate that early smartphone use is associated with risk of depression, anxiety, social anxiety, lower self-esteem, as impaired cognitive functions. Okay, so cognitive functions was where I was like thinking about it, but depression, anxiety, social anxiety, lower self-esteem. To be honest, I feel like I know we're trying to bring awareness to like anxiety and depression and things like that, but I feel like that's more so promoted, not promoted, and I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but I feel like that's everywhere. Like you see that everywhere. So sometimes when you're exposed to something, you think something applies to you just because you see it a lot, and kids are impressionable. So just with podcasts and interviews and stuff like that, a lot of people talk about depression and anxiety, and a kid may think they're depressed or have anxiety just because they hear it a lot. I feel like that's one of the, initiatives that is seen a lot, you know. So I can't really see how a smartphone would, trigger depression, but I'm going to read more so I can find out. Lower self-esteem. I can definitely see the lower self-esteem because the smartphone gives you access to everyone. You see people doing well a lot. You may feel, you need to keep up with those people. you know. But I feel like that's why it's important for parents. Like, I feel like a lot of things can be blamed on, stop, stop. I feel like a lot of things can be blamed on media, devices, influencers, but that's where parenting comes into play, because you have to let your child know that, this is entertainment, or this is just this is just media. It's important to have that backup if you're going to provide, like, if you're providing your child with a smartphone, then you should be able to kind of like navigate and have those conversations, because when you give your child a phone, they're going to be exposed to things. And even like the child programs can sometimes get a little, overexposed, because now children are hit with a lot of exposed to a lot of things that should be only in adulthood, and they don't know how to process it. A global study involving 27,969, that's such an odd and specific number, young adults revealed that those who received their first smartphone or tablet later in childhood experienced better mental well being in adulthood, with improvements in self confidence, positive relationships, while those obtained them at a younger age showed higher likelihoods of experiencing suicidal thoughts, aggression, and detachment from reality. I guess it has been enough time. I guess because I lived through it, it seems like it was moving fast. Like the smartphone era, but I guess because when I think about myself, 90s baby, we had access to going outside, books, playing, like building social skills, and even some of those people um encountered some of these things. Um, I definitely see the difference between my generation, younger generations, and younger generations. Like, I'm in my 30s. I know people in their 20s, and I also know teenagers. And I feel like this study is true, but I feel like it also depends on your upbringing, your family, the type of people that are around you. So those are also some variables that they have to talk about, because if you're in a home with siblings or a big family, sometimes, you know, these these things may not be as prevalent as if you're an only child, or you may not, be around people as much. Like, there's a lot of factors that go into this. But I do definitely believe that smartphones play a part, but it's just a lot of variables, you know? And I feel like technology, media, that type of thing always gets blamed for. Not blamed, but like, they factor in. But there's a lot of factors. But, it's mental health aside, mental health aside, anxiety aside, depression aside, hold off on giving the kids the technology, like the smartphones. I get it though. That's just my take. I don't have children, but I was a child, and I grew up without smartphones, and I feel like I turned out just fine. A lot of times the smartphones are, easy, because it occupies the child's attention. But, give them a book, give them a puzzle. You know, if you give them that, they won't know about a tablet or a smartphone until they get to the point where they're around other children. And then you have to understand that, everyone, different strokes for different folks. If I had a kid, they would not get a smartphone at least until what, 13. They make other type of devices where you can communicate with your child and know where they are. So I just feel like it's important to have critical thinking. Like, that's gonna take you everywhere in life. Because who knows what may happen with technology. Just like it didn't exist at one point, it may be a point where it don't exist again. And you're gonna need to know how to figure stuff out. That's my take.